Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, monsieur.
Bonjour, mon petit perro de chien.
Ça va?
Ça va, ça va?
Ça va.
Voilà la conversation dans le parc.
Où est le livre?
À la bibliothèque.
Et la musique danse?
À la discothèque.
Et les discothèques?
C'est ici, bébé. Un, deux, trois, quatre. Feu de fafa.
Sometimes, everything just falls into place, and a game is won on the backs of sensible decisions. As a man who is half blind, folds under pressure, and has the reflexes of a baked potato, this is exceptionally good news for me. More than any other tech tree, this is absolutely vital for the French. Because of their hipster designs, your success with French vehicles will depend on your knowledge of their peculiar strengths and weaknesses, and what the best decisions to make in light of those will be. So the first decision we make is to take the east flank, because the AMX50-100 has absolutely god-awful depression, bugger all gun elevation, and it just loves having something solid to hide behind while it reloads. None of this is really available in the west, especially as the fight progresses. So we head to the east flank, planning on a stage-by-stage combat where we will jump out, assassinate a key target or two, and then reload as we progress to the next step, the next piece of cover. Having grown up on the mean streets of South Auckland, I must confess that this blitz attack meta feels right at home to me. Now, the 50-100 doesn't really function like other heavy tanks, and this isn't just because the French built them out of cigarettes and discarded wine bottles. With its 6-shot autoloader delivering a burst of 1800 damage all up, followed by a painfully long cooldown period where it desperately tries to get it up again, the 50-100 is absolutely terrible at the classic heavy tank role of digging in for a long fight, trading shot for shot, hoping to bounce rounds, and essentially locking the enemy in place for a drawn-out war of attrition while the rest of your team maneuvers. So if we let this T-34 and OHO dig in for the turret game, popping out, taking the odd shot now and then, we are handing the advantage to them and guaranteeing a defeat. We've got ourselves a nice little staging area here pressed up against the rocks, so it's a good time to assess the situation. All we've spotted so far is the T-34 and the OHO, so they don't really have the numbers to push, by my estimation. So we're unlikely to get a chance to ambush them as they push through, taking the tracking shots and just eating their health. Of course, it's entirely possible that they've got tank destroyer support on the ridgeline behind them, so either we have to spend our health to take out the two Tier 8 heavies in front of us and get under the gun line of the tank destroyers, or we abandon the flank entirely. Now, if you've been keeping an eye on the map, you'll realise that our team has pulled right back from the positions that they occupied in the west, but both teams have only just suffered their first casualties, meaning that rather than a rout, our team has actually dug itself in for a really well-staged defence. We could reposition back to base to lend our guns to the fight, would get there sooner than our pursuers, but what that would ultimately mean is our team would be surrounded, unable to take cover, and at the mercy of Arty. So we decide it's go time, push out, take this flank by storm, and eliminate the artillery. Using the speed of the French heavies, we swarm out, hitting them from multiple angles, mounting a rolling attack to systematically eliminate the heavies. The T-34 drops in seconds, and we've still got plenty of ammo to take out this OHO, even with Skinklord still running the stock 90mm autoloader. And fortunately for us, we haven't encountered any tank destroyers. It's worth pointing out here, with the autoloaders, it's really important to make every shot count and not waste them fruitlessly firing at armor that you're not going to penetrate, as I foolishly did with one of my rounds at that OHO. You have to run the math to know what tanks you can kill, and exactly what it's going to take to kill them. With the heavies eliminated and no tank destroyers to be seen, I direct the team around the back of the enemy cap, avoiding the KV-5, because that's a tussle that we don't want right now. We're in a position where we can outrun that KV-5, and any shots that it can get at us is going to do minimal damage all up. It simply isn't a high priority target. We have the luxury of ignoring it and moving on. Much higher on the to-do list is eliminate artillery. It's artillery that's going to make or break our defence up north, and if we can knock it out quickly, we can get up behind the enemies besieging our base and get cross-shots into them, eliminating them. However, I spot a T-28 prot, and greed gets the better of me, but once I realise I'm going to have to bleed hit points to take him out, I come to my senses and return to chasing Arty, which is conveniently located right here. artillery misses, and my reload easily outpaces his, so I can just sit here and eliminate him at leisure, before moving off to find the next lucky participant of autoloader roulette. Meanwhile, from Barker's perspective, Skink gets intimate with the rock face, and the retreat from the KV-5 begins in earnest. I had to talk them down from pursuing it. The temptation was very strong, but it would have locked us down in an unnecessary fight that would have accomplished very little for the team at that point. So while Skink and I push along the K-line, Barker pops up to this little valley here for some early spots to keep an eye on the KV-5 or acquire new targets. He's been spotted, so there's definitely something out there, and the T-28 Prot pops up. While I took a fruitless shot at the T-28, and Skink digs in to pretty much keep it suppressed, Barker disengages to get around behind them, still largely holding this position to keep an eye on what the KV-5 is doing. It soon becomes clear that the KV-5 is going to take this little valley route so that he could potentially get around behind Skink and sandwich him between the T-28 Prot and that Soviet heavy. So Barker lingers just long enough to get on that Soviet X-Wing's radar before scarpering off around the corner to drag him out of position. That KV-5 could have been a real pain if we tried to take on both him and the T-28 Prot together, but Barker eliminated him from the equation with some masterful baiting that... Wait, did I just... Right, never mind. Right, so we're free to swarm in on this T-28 Prot. He's got way too many targets to track safely. No matter which way he turns, he's presenting some soft armor, so there's just nothing that he can do to counter us. This is really what the 50-100 is all about. Biding your time for the right moment, picking the perfect point to strike, and when doing so you just leap out, overwhelm the enemy with activity that they cannot counter, and then move on to the next favourable fight. So the T-28 Prot is eliminated. We could stick around and try and deal with KV-5, but that does not do much to help the team even still. It's completely isolated, its ability to impact the game is completely gone. We could sit on the cap, but that's chancy, it's a bit of a dice throw. So it's better for us to disperse while we're reloading, hunt out targets, and what we're doing here is we are fanning out, covering all three of the major lanes of advance, and as soon as we spot a vulnerable target and are reloaded, ready to act, we're going to call the shots, converge, and eliminate it systematically, the way that we've been doing the entire game. While we're driving and reloading with not much else to do, I take the moment to acknowledge the compliments that we've been receiving in chat. It's always nice to see some good sportsmanship going around, so don't forget to give your teammates shoutouts when they're doing well. It helps to counter all the negativity in the game, and in light of that, it has to be acknowledged that our team has done a tremendously good job at digging in and defending the north. The enemy assault has effectively stalled, and they have bled for every tank that they've killed. And now, with all the artillery eliminated, and 3 angry AMX50-100s converging on the rear of the enemy assault, it's all wrapped up. There's nothing that they can do to counter this. It's a shooting gallery. They're surrounded, so they can't use their armor effectively. They're going to be exposing weak points to at least one target, regardless of what they do. It's just 2 very lonely tier 8 medium tanks, the KV-5 still being isolated down with the Jagdtiger down south. Now make that no tier 8 medium tanks, and just the sole surviving KV-5. And now he's just outnumbered 9 to 1. The KV-5 is a strong tank, but I just do not fancy his odds at all. The only real question that remains is who's going to be fast enough to get there in time to steal the kill from the poor Jagdtiger 88. And the thing about the 50-100 is, for a heavy tank, it is definitely no slouch in the mobility department. You can see it easily caving pace with the tier 8 Soviet medium, the T-44, and the premium FCM-50T lagging a little bit behind us. The French cavalry charges down the remnants of Russian resistance, seeking to accomplish that which Napoleon failed to do. The onlookers, amazed at the daring, dashing driving of the AMX50-100s, compliment us fully on our style and panache, as is only right for this fashionable material, and the KV-5 politely turns his head sideways, allowing me to steal the kill. Vive la France, the superior revolutionaries. And while the final tally displays on screen, it's just recount the way the game played out for us. There wasn't a single point in the entire game where we really felt under pressure. We made sure to prevent the enemy from gaining advantageous positions around us. We always had the space to make safe reloads, coordinated our actions so that we could eliminate targets quickly without suffering much damage in return, made sure to focus on priority targets, and completely avoided tar pit engagements that would just slow us down without advancing the course of the battle, resulting in a game decided by intelligence.